Roundtable Sports Network brings you NFL divisional debate coverage on a weekly basis from your favorite content creators across YouTube. Featuring the AFC East Roundtable live Monday and Wednesday evenings. The AFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST. The NFC South Roundtable live Tuesdays at 7 p.m. EST. The NFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The AFC West Roundtable live Tuesdays at 9 p.m. EST. The NFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The AFC North Roundtable live Wednesdays at 6 p.m. EST. The NFC East Roundtable live Thursdays at 6 p.m. EST. Roundtable Sports. Real coverage from real fans.
NFC South Roundtable, how are we feeling today? You guys already know who it is. We are back here with yet another live stream to recap another really crazy week of football. We're going to be recapping week 4 here. Make sure on your way in, if you aren't subscribed, you do subscribe to the channel for all of your NFC South news. You can catch us live here every single Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And of course, we will be dropping a pre-recorded video a little bit later in the week where each of your creators is going to preview their matchups for week 5. As always, this video is brought to you by BetUS. We'll talk to you guys a little bit later how you can get an exclusive 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed up by 125 on your next 2, all the way up to $2,000. But without further ado, let's start rolling these guys in. And there we go. We'll start with you, James. How you doing, buddy? I mean, one heck of a week for you guys. Talk about getting back on track and just whooping the Eagles.
Yeah, it was a great win for the Bucs, right? They proved that they can bounce back. So feeling good, man. They're in sole possession of first place in the NFC South right now. Tough game against the Falcons coming up here soon, but I feel pretty good. I feel pretty good coming away from week 4. And as always, man, happy to be here, man.
Love it. I'm glad everybody's safe too. Obviously, if you're watching this or you're a creator on here, prayers up to everybody that's kind of going through the results here of this hurricane. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. So we appreciate you if you're watching, and we appreciate you most importantly for being here while I think everybody's dealing with a little bit of a tough time and, power outages and no Wi-Fi. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, but let's go ahead and let's bring on our Saints creator, TJ, buddy. I feel like this is going to be a rough episode for you. So, you just let me know. You send me a text message. You got to hop off real quick and just gather yourself. I got you, buddy. I got you.
Man. Oh, man. I think that's what a lot of people may think, but it's not a rough episode for me. It won't be at all, man. I'm still just as happy as I was. I'm still just as optimistic as I was at the beginning of the show. So I still stand by some of the things that I said, but we'll get into that a little bit later. But thank y'all for being here. Shouts out to everybody that's watching this live.
So TJ, real quick, I mean, y'all were one of the best teams in the NFL, through 2 weeks. And then now over the last 2 weeks, kind of fallen back down. Tell me, is the Saints team that we're looking at here in 2024, are they reminiscent of the team that we saw in weeks 3 and 4, or are they more reminiscent of the teams that we saw in week 1 and 2?
I think it's a little bit of both. I think that this is a team, if you look at the last 2 games, I mean, they basically shot themselves in the foot, a lot of self-inflicted wounds. But I guess from that regard, I guess it was pretty much the same. I mean, you can say the same type of narrative last year, but I mean, it's still a long season. They're not, out of it. They just had a few little hiccups in the road, but that just happens in the National Football League. But luckily for them, they can make up some ground over this season.
I love it. Now let's go ahead and let's bring in Clay. Clay, buddy, look, you had a really good week here in week 3. Week 4, y'all come back down to earth a little bit here.
Yeah. I mean, again, is there optimism? Sure. It's kind of guarded optimism. I think this team is very well much a work in progress right now. If they don't tighten things up, obviously we're going to stay at the bottom of the barrel. For now, at least there's something to build on, and there's more. And that's more than what we can say in the past few years.
All right. Let's bring on Smitty. Smitty, how you doing, buddy? I mean, you got to be
What's
feeling top
see
of
you
the
got the cap
world
back
right
this week.
now.
We on. You
We
got the hat
on.
back on this week. What's good?
You know, Smitty, you told me that, you know, it's kind of my identity wearing my hat. And you were like, Kobe, it just feels like the last couple weeks you're not wearing it. My life feels a little bit off. And I put it on and look at all of a sudden y'all balling out. So, I mean, I don't know, Smitty. My good luck cap might be good for you Falcons fans. So I might have to keep it on.
Yeah, do that, man, because you do that, we just going to keep winning. So, hey, let's do it.
Hey, man, I don't know. It's going to be between you and CJ. Whoever bribes me the most is going to depend if I wear the hat or not on a weekly basis. Who's going to win the division will be dependent on which creator puts up the most money to the host.
Hey,
but
well, we got to keep putting it out there then. We got to keep putting our content there. So,
gotta keep putting it out there, huh, Smitty? But guys, before we continue on today's video and we start breaking down these games, want to give a massive shout out to the sponsors of this video and the sponsors of the channel all football season long. Those are our buddies over at BetUS. When you guys sign up via their website or their mobile app, you guys can get an exclusive limited time offer of a 150% sign up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. That is a deal on your first 3 deposits when you guys sign up right now, and use that promo code YouTube150. As you see right here on the screen, that is YouTube150 in order to get this deal. BetUS has the fastest payouts in the industry. They can give you a 200% crypto deposit bonus. They got the fastest and easiest deposit and withdrawal process in the business. 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year. Live wagering on all major games, best betting variety in the business. You guys can even get a 10% back on your net losses 2 times a year. No other sportsbook on the damn platform is going to take care of you and your money the way that BetUS will. And they can give you your very own personalized account manager. How about that? Most importantly, though, guys, play smart, play responsibly. Never bet more than you can afford to lose. Never bet to put money or to put food on the table or to pay your rent. If you or somebody you know or love is dealing with a gambling problem, go ahead, reach out, get that help you need. There are free ways to do it, one of which is even via BetUS. On their website, they have a dedicated section for people dealing with these problems. So play smart, play responsible, but have a little bit of extra fun for this football season. But fellas, let's just hop right into this, because I want to hear about all of these games, because boy, oh boy, was it a week for the NFC South. And James, let's start off with you, because obviously, look, y'all needed to bounce back a little bit. I think y'all got brought back down to earth in week 3. You come out against the Eagles, who many are still putting as one of the top favorites in the NFC to go to the Super Bowl. A lot of expectations on that team. Say what you want about the coaching. They have talent up and down that team, and you guys were able to exploit them and put your name at the top of the NFC South. So why don't you talk to us about this game?
I mean, it was a great game. Right now, I do want to say the Eagles were very banged up. I mean, A.J. Brown was not in this game. Devonta Smith was not in this game. Lane Johnson was not in this game. However, the Bucs did a great job of still being able to contain Jalen Hurts throughout most of the game, get after him. They had 6 sacks in this game, which going into the matchup, they had 2 total sacks. So they tripled that number in one game. So that looked pretty good. They held the Eagles to 0 yards after the first half. So it was just a complete win. I mean, both offensively, defensively. Baker Mayfield continued to look really good. He had 3 total touchdowns in this game, over almost 350 passing yards. This was a very complete win for the Bucs. And while, yes, you do have to kind of have that caveat of, well, the Eagles were a very injured team. It's a good thing that the Bucs still looked like a complete team overall, both on offense, on defense, even on special teams as well. This was a complete win. The running game still looks pretty good with Bucky Irving and Rachaad White being that duo running back combination. Mike Evans got more involved in this game. He had a receiving touchdown, led the way in terms of receiving yards. And overall, again, there's not much else to say besides this was just a complete win for the Bucs. And it's good momentum. Like you said, a huge bounce back, in my opinion, regarding how that Denver Broncos game went. Looks a little bit like a better loss, considering the Broncos just did the same exact thing to the Jets that they did to the Bucs. So You got to feel good about the momentum the Bucs have in their favor right now. They do have some very tough matchups coming up, 3 division games in their next 4 weeks. So that's not going to be an easy scenario under any circumstances. We'll get to that when we get to it. But again, this was a huge win. The Bucs are continuing to show that they can beat some of the better teams in the NFC. They showed it with the Detroit Lions, showed it a little bit here with the Philadelphia Eagles as well, and just regained some momentum in their favor. 3-1 looks a whole lot better than 2-2 in my opinion. And the Bucs showed that, hey, whenever they do have a really bad, embarrassing loss, they can bounce back and get some wins as well.
Ooh, okay. I love that. I love that for Baker. I love that for the Buccaneers too. Y'all being able to get back on track. But Timothy, let's go on over to you. What do you think about this Bucs game here in week 4?
Well, I think it was an impressive victory. And James, I don't want to sell your team short, man, because Lane Johnson left the game against the Saints. I mean, and they couldn't put up these type of points, so my thing is, like, Tampa is the best team in the NFC South as far as the way that they've been looking. I think that you have to give them the notch in this regard. Good teams find ways to win. They overcome adversity. They beat the teams that a lot of people may think that they won't. And Tampa has done that. And, a lot of fans, of the NFC South kind of wrote them off, once Tom Brady retired. But to me, they look more impressive even when Tom Brady was there. Like, they responded. So credit to their front office, credit to this team that's resilient, and also credit to Todd Bowles, man. Todd Bowles is leaving a stamp on his team, and they're responding to him. So I just think that maybe, they get the running game more involved. Baker Mayfield throwing the ball 47 times in a victory, I'm not really too keen on that. But if you can get yourself more of a balanced attack, I think that they will be a force to be reckoned with. It was a very impressive victory, if you ask me.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think, TJ, you hit on a lot of really good points too about this game. Is were they dealing with injuries? Yes, but even their backups are absolute dogs, especially on that offensive line. So, and I think whether you're beating a good team, whether you're beating a bad team, for you to put down the hammer the way that the Bucs did, I really do believe that that's the bounce back they needed, and that truly was a statement by that team.
And one more thing, Kobe, that's what good teams do. Like, they don't let these teams that's injured lingo around. They put their foot on them. I mean, that's the calling card of a good team. They don't give these teams hope. They let them go. They let them come into the game. They slap them around early. They let them know what type of day it's going to be. And then they, let them leave with their tail between their legs. I mean, it's just that simple. That's the calling card of a good team, in my opinion. So I give credit to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers in that regard. I mean, this is a really good football team, probably one of the best teams in the NFC right now.
Yeah, and the last thing I'll say about this too is, were the Eagles dealing with injuries? Yes, but respectfully, so were the Bucs, and that's something that we shouldn't put out of the question either. But Clay, let's go on over to you. What did you think about this game?
Yeah, I mean, I thought the Bucs pass rush finally showed up. I think that's something like James has been alluding to. It's kind of been non-existent. They absolutely wrecked Jalen Hurts in this one. So in the first 3 weeks, they only had 2 sacks. So this week they ended up, I think, having 6, if I'm not mistaken. Yep. The run game actually worked. The Bucs ground game has been garbage the past couple of weeks. Shout out to Bucky Irvin, helped me out winning in my fantasy this week. So I had it, so the run game's starting to work. And another thing is Baker Mayfield should be in the MVP talk right now. He deserves that conversation. He's flying under the radar. He's outgunning Mahomes. He's outgunning Allen. He's outgunning Lamar, all in yards, touchdowns, and first downs if you look at it right now. And he's doing that behind a shaky offensive line right now. And he's only turned over the ball twice this year. So, shout out to the Bucs. Good win for them handling the Eagles.
Ooh, MVP talk. I think it's going to be interesting to see where Baker falls in this thing. I think it's really going to depend on, what kind of happens towards the end of the season and kind of the outlook here for the NFC and the seeding and kind of the whole playoff picture. But I agree. I mean, he bounced back last year and he's looking even better this year. Shout out to Baker, man.
I'm going to say this right now. Clay, if Baker wins MVP, I'm buying every single one of you guys a Baker Mayfield jersey. Every single one of you.
Can you make sure it's signed by him? That'd be.
I'll do my best.
Somebody clip this and hold James to that now.
Yeah,
I want you to. I want you to.
I need this in writing and signed off tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah, send me a little. Sometimes send me some mail. Get it official. But
yeah.
Smitty, let's go on over to you. What do you think about this game?
Yeah, right. Quick, man. I agree with the fellas, man. Todd Bowles doing this thing in Tampa, man. Because I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think he would last long because of the drama he had with Tom Brady. But he's put his stamp on that team, and we know he's a defensive guy. And they've stepped on the defensive side of the ball. So, shouts out to him, Baker Mayfield. And like I said a couple of years ago, I put out a video that I wouldn't mind having him on the Falcons, but that didn't work out. But we all know Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, you have to guard those guys, and Philly couldn't do it, and Philly's secondary has struggled the whole season. So now, if they can get Rashad White going, and which I don't think it's possible because Bucket Irvin is down there balling, I just think Todd Bowles has this team on the right track. And I've seen TJ say the best team in the NFC. Yeah, they could be one of the best in the NFL come 2-3 weeks down the road. Yeah. We have to face them Thursday. We're going to get into that. But trust me, it's not going to be a cakewalk.
Yeah, shout out to Baker, too, man. I mean, that ability to kind of be ruined the way that he was with the Browns, and then, well, honestly, even with the Panthers for a little bit of a short stint there, Clay, not to bring up any hard wounds there, buddy. But for him to be able to bounce back after being ruined is something that really not a lot of quarterbacks are able to do. Once you get messed up by a team, once a team screws you up, it is hard to bounce back. Geno Smith is one of them. Sam Darnold is a guy who looks like he might be in the same situation. Baker is 100%.
But Baker showed with the Rams. Baker showed with the Rams what he could do. He just needed the opportunity.
You know, it just seems like maybe after these quarterbacks go to the Panthers, they realize, okay, I need to turn something on, and then they start becoming franchise quarterbacks again. I don't know what it is. Clay. It doesn't work out for you, but after you, it seems to work out for all of these guys.
Oh, for sure.
Again, not to bring up any hard wounds there, buddy. I know you're kind of going through it right now with the position, but TJ, let's go on over to you. Why don't you talk to me about what in God's name happened with the Saints game?
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a good game, you know, between two bitter rivals that don't like each other. There's no love lost between the fan bases, that's for sure. Man, a lot of self-inflicted wounds. Like, what can I say, man? Like, they played a very horrible and sloppy game. You know, they had their opportunities in the game, only for them to kind of squander them with these mistakes. It started at the beginning of the game with Rashid Shaheed with the muff punt that turned into a touchdown. You know, you got the Falcons, they received the ball first. I mean, you got him off the field. I mean, he gets away from that, who knows? I mean, they were able to kind of run the football using Taysom Hill. Then, of course, Taysom Hill leaves the game. You had the pick six, by Troy Anderson. Don't call me Tony Anderson. I mean, you spot a team 14 points, man. If they're a good football team, or above average football team, they're gonna win this game. And the Saints weren't able to find any type of offense outside of when Taysom Hill left. I think that's a conversation that needs to be had. It seems like Taysom Hill is the real straw that stirs the drink. I was thinking it was Alvin Kamara, so maybe it's Taysom Hill. Once you neutralize and take away the deep threat of Rashid Shaheed, it doesn't seem like they really know what to do or try to work the flat. Derek Carr. To me, I just feel like there's something that just not there. It just comes and it goes. He's a quarterback tease. 1 week he looks like he knows what he's doing, should be in an MVP type conversation. The next week he just looks like a mere shell of himself. So I think it all comes down to the Saints having to figure out how to utilize some of these offensive weapons that they have. As far as the defensive side of football, I think it was pretty formidable, all things considered. Look, I'm not going to sit up here and talk about what the defense didn't have, because the offensive line of the Atlanta Falcons, they didn't have their right tackle or their center. And you still wasn't able to get any type of pressure on Kirk Cousins. I mean, he can knit a sweater in that pocket at some of the time that he actually had to go through his progressions. I'm talking 2 and 3 times he was actually had opportunities. And, you're holding on to the ball too long. That gives guys opportunities to break off their routes. Paulson Adebo, I mean, it was pretty obvious that the game plan was to pick on him. He's really handsy. He starts to panic. He bites on the double move. And, shouts out to Zach Robinson because he did his homework. That was strategic. But when you combine the self-inflicted wounds, when you combine the fact that you spotted a team 14 points, when you combine the fact that, Taysom Hill left the game and you couldn't find an identity after that, it's just a recipe for a loss. But I didn't expect for the New Orleans Saints to sweep the Atlanta Falcons. I've said that before. I look at these teams; they're pretty much on the same playing field. It was the game was decided by a field goal. To me, if the Saints had that possession last, I feel like Blake Grupe probably could have went out there and kicked a 58-yard field goal. But the Falcons did what they needed to do. They got the victory. That's the reason why you got to make sure that you take advantage of those opportunities like you did against the Philadelphia Eagles. You had an opportunity there, you didn't. And then you had a chance against the Atlanta Falcons and you weren't able to capitalize on that. They did not score an offensive touchdown in the game, but somehow they still managed to win a football game. That is something that hasn't happened since 1983. And ironically, it was the Saints, the last team to actually do that. So all in all, the Saints have played the Atlanta Falcons again. Hopefully the story will be a little bit different, but I'm not discouraged about where the Saints are. I know they got a couple of tough games down the road, but I think that they can actually kind of weather the storm and still be in contention for a playoff spot.
Okay. All right. Let's go down to you, Clay. What did you think about that Saints game?
Yeah, thank God for YouTube TV. I had like 4 games on at one time while mine was on, so I was able to watch it. So the right now the Saints, to me, are a good team, but they're just undisciplined as hell. Like, it's not just the penalties. The things that I saw were like tight ends not blocking. The special teams unit was a liability. The defensive line couldn't maintain gap integrity. They were letting the running back slice them up 6-7 yards per carry. Those problems aren't flukes. That they happen every week. So to me, right now, you got to look at Dennis Allen and say you coached this team poorly in this game from top to bottom. And you got young defensive backs, just like TJ said, that are panic, committing pass interference at the worst possible moments. Even the veterans were screwing up their assignments in that game that you notice offensively. Another thing is Kubiak. Why are you not making any in-game adjustments? He wasted running plays behind a weak right side of that line when Fuaga, I know I'm probably not pronouncing it.
Fuaga
was creating gaps on the left. So if you keep making everything so difficult for themselves, they'll just keep losing, and the losses are just going to pile up on the scoreboard. So the bottom line is, I think right now, after these 2 losses that they've had, this team's a little bit of a mess. I think they can bounce back, but in this game, it was just undisciplined football.
By the way, Clay, shout out on the Caleb Farley sign, and I actually really like that for you guys. And obviously a banged up guy, but maybe someone that can help you guys out in the secondary, which is definitely what you guys need. So little bit of news there going on in the NFC South for the Panthers. If he can come back from injury, that's a former first-round pick that definitely is still raw and definitely still has some potential.
Mm-hmm.
But Smitty, we'll go on over to you. And Smitty, I know that obviously, you're going to talk about the Falcons, but for now, try to just talk about the Saints, and then we'll loop back around afterwards. And then we'll, of course, talk about how the Falcons played in the game.
Well, I think TJ put it perfect. They just had wasted opportunities. They went up 14-7. I got kind of nervous, but when Taysom Hill went down, I called him the Falcon killer. But when you can't find an identity, and both teams really having problem finding identity right now. But the Falcons took advantage of the turnovers. They took advantage of the field position. And the second half, they got the field on 3rd down, which was key. So going forward, I just think the Falcons have to do better on offense, put the ball in the end zone, and I think they'll get better outcome. But this game was solely on them taking advantage of the turnovers and driving the ball down the field for that last second field goal.
All right. Of course, we'll hear about Smitty's takes on the Falcons here just a little bit later. But James, let's go on up to you. What did you think about how the Saints played in this game?
Yeah, for the Saints, again, between this week and last week, it's been, like you said at the beginning, Colby, a bit of kind of a back down to earth type of thing for them. Look, they had some good moments, but again, like they couldn't get out of their own way, right? The Rashid Shaheed muffed punt was tough. Losing out on Taysom Hill getting hurt was not a good situation as well. It was just too many missed opportunities for the Saints. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. You know, I heard TJ talk about it on his live stream on his channel. It just goes back to, can Dennis Allen and Derek Carr kind of get this Saints team over the hump of being kind of a middle of the pack team? And I still just don't feel that way right now. I feel like this is a Saints team that does have some talent, but until they can get out of their own way and get more disciplined, that's just not really going to happen. You know, again, just shooting themselves in the foot with a lot of different types of mistakes in this game. You know, I feel like they let this one slip through a little bit. Shout out to the Falcons. You know, again, we'll talk about them in a little bit whenever we get to Smitty, you know, analyzing the game. But for the Saints, you know, they had 35 minutes of possession to the Falcons 24 minutes. The Falcons, you know, didn't score a touchdown in this game. So it was just a big collapse here for the Saints in terms of just not being able to get out of their own way. I would say, especially on the offensive side of the ball, because defensively, look, this defense still has a lot of great ability. You know, especially even in that secondary, I thought that they made it pretty miserable for the Falcons throughout most of the game. Just offensively, just huge drop from where they were in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Alrighty, guys. Well, before we get on into the final two teams, we do have another sponsor to talk about. But before we do that, I do want to get into some super chats because we have 9 already. You guys are absolutely killing it in the super chat game tonight. I want to make sure I show you guys your love. What's up, Doug? Comes in. We all know what's up, Doug. He says, showing some love to the guys, but sending prayers to TJ. Prayers are going up for you, buddy.
Yeah, man. Appreciate that, man. My sister passed away this morning. So yeah, man. But thank y'all for that, man. I really do appreciate it, man. I appreciate the love.
Up, man.
Yeah.
Did she really, man? Definitely. I'm so sorry about that.
Nah, man, it's okay, man. You know, she would have wanted me to be on here talking about the Saints tonight. She was a huge Saints fan, so I'm out here, man, trying to, you know, rep for her tonight. But thank you for that, man. Thank you, Doug.
Hey, man, this show dedicated to her for sure. Let's see. Get on to the next one. So T. Riley here with a $2 donation says, we're still good, TJ. Who dat?
Man.
Who dat?
T. Riley, man, appreciate it.
Hey, man, yeah, the Saints showed all the potential in the world. I mean, you know what I'm saying? Y'all look, like I said, one of the best teams in the NFL in the first 2 weeks. We know that you have the potential. It's just about honing that potential in and not doing things that are going to harm your own team. Trust me, as a Patriots fan, I've seen that the last 2 years. You know, you're in games, you have the potential. They might be close, but you got the potential. And then you shoot yourselves in the foot at the worst possible moments. And then you kill yourself. You kill yourself. But Michael comes in here and says, our $2 donation says, win, lose, or draw, always who dat, TJ.
Man, appreciate that, Mike, man. Shouts out to all the Who Dat Nation in here tonight, man.
Man, there's more of them too. They ain't letting up. Let's go, Saints fans. Let's freaking go. Y'all losing 2 weeks in a row and you still showing up. Let's freaking go. How about that? Man, let me tell you, we lose, and I feel like Patriots fans are like MIA. I'm sending out like search parties for them. What the hell? Use some of this.
Wow.
Who Dat for Life comes in with a $2 donation, says, pipe down, wise ups. You didn't even score.
Scored enough points to win. That's all that matters.
Who Dat comes back in with another $2, says, never. Hashtag had dat.
Oh my God.
Damn, trolling you guys already. Oblivion Empire comes in with a $2 donation, says, Who Dat? Let's go.
He's solidly becoming the best kicker in football. I don't know if you've been paying attention to the Ravens, man. Justin Tucker has kind of lost his fastball a little bit, man. So Youngway cool, man. He looking like one of the best, man. He looking like one of the top 5 kickers in the league right now. Might even be top 3.
Dude, I don't know what it is too, because I remember he was a free agent back in like 2019, and my Patriots, man, they
Probably
like brought him in
Chargers.
for a workout, didn't sign him. He goes and signs with the Falcons, and like you said, CJ, he's become one of the best and most consistent kickers in the NFL. I mean, shout out to him, man.
He was not
Crazy
dead.
thing is,
He was not dead.
crazy thing is, he kicks better the further he kicks. That's the crazy part. It seemed like 30 inside he had a problem, but when it's 40 and outside, he money.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. And I was saying this, Smitty, he wasn't that. Like when he first, I think his first team was the Chargers.
with
I
the
mean,
Chargers,
he was shaking them things left and right, man. And to see where he came from, you know, I mean, you got to give him credit, man. I mean, other kickers probably wouldn't even be in the league right now. Probably would have had a serious case of the yips. But you know, he managed to kind of weather the storm and kind of carved out a niche for himself. And you can tell, man, Atlanta Falcon fans love him, man. Every time he hits the field, everybody just yelling out, cool, you know. And when you start hearing that type of stuff, like, you become a fan favorite. So
yeah, definitely.
Trevor comes in with a $5 donation and says, the Bucs have owned the Eagles in the past 5 out of 6 games. So we saw this coming. So James, I mean, James, were you just not surprised about the win, or are you still surprised?
I was surprised at how well they won. I mean, you figured with Johnson being out and with the 2 top receivers being out, like the Bucs definitely had a better chance to win this game. But to go out there and, like I said earlier, you know, have such a complete win, that was still, you know, pleasantly surprising, let's say, in a good way. So, but yeah, you know, and even with stuff like that, by the way, like the Bucs have owned the Eagles in the past 5 out of 6 games. Like you would usually think like, okay, well then the Eagles are probably due to win at some point, right? Where the reverse will happen, but thankfully it didn't happen yet. So
didn't happen yet. Red Swarm comes in and says, cool. That's gonna be the new thing, huh? We gotta get that on some shirts. Yeah, it comes back and it says 56-55.
And talking about the overall head-to-head between the Falcons and
how about that? It comes back and it says praying for your family, TJ.
Thank you, Red Swarm. Appreciate it, man.
And let's see. Tyrone comes in with a $2 donation and says, who that, TJ? Who that? So, hey, man, win or lose, one thing you can say about Saints fans is that they don't show up no matter what. So, nothing but respect there, of course, to Saints fans. But before we continue on, in fact, actually, let me switch this over to this one. Sorry, my Wi-Fi is being a little weird. Work with me while these hurricanes are affecting everybody a little bit here still. There we go. You guys know who we're talking about. You guys know them. You guys love them. We are talking about the best underwear game in the damn business. We are talking about Shinesty. Right now, we are giving away a 10% off with the link in the bio using the code RTS10. So all you guys got to do, click that link, figure out what undies you want, and then use that code, again, RTS10, in order to get that 10% off. I mean, let me tell you, Shaughnessy's got the best undie game in the damn business. They got the best comfort out there. They're taking care of your jingle jangles all the way through the holiday season. 0 swamp ass, 100% comfortability. Not just that, but man, you stylish. Like, real talk, you could walk down the street with these things. Ain't nobody gonna know it's your underwear because people are used to guys wearing, look, like just regular underwear. No, you wear these. Look at this one, the bare backbones. You wear those walking down the street, I promise you, everybody's just gonna be looking at you like, damn, that guy got some style. That girl got some style. Let me tell you too. Get these ones. Get the bare
those
back.
big bang ones are awesome.
Yeah.
They glow in the dark. So if you get freaky at night with your man or your woman, the lights are off. You don't gotta worry about getting up while you're half asleep to turn on the lights. Make sure you're
Dear Lord.
doing
I was just about to say that.
doing everything right.
Pause.
Now, baby, all you gotta do is drop them drawers, and you are lighting up that room with the bare backbones undie pants. Let me tell you too, where are the best ones? We got the holiday festive ones.
The best ones
There
are the
it
one
is.
with the chicken on it.
Show them. You're Halloweener. Are you kidding me? Christmas is right around the bend. You got to show out for them ho-ho-hos. Am I right? Show them the Christmas jangles. You know what I'm
young
saying?
ho coos.
Yeah, the young ho coos. There you go.
No Diddy. No Diddy.
The Big Bang, the Little Swimmers. I mean, come on. Shaughnessy is doing
Dear
things that
Lord.
is nobody else doing in the business. Remember, of course, that supporting the sponsors that support the channel directly supports all the creators that you see on the screen. Not just that, though. It also helps support everybody behind the scenes at Roundtable Sports. So make sure you guys show out, support Shaughnessy. Again, link in the description box below for 10% off using the code RTS10. But let's get back here and let's continue to talk about these games. Clay, let's go down to you. What happened with the Panthers? Y'all get a big dub with Red Rocket there in week 3? Week 4, you guys come out here not able to stay on top.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of expected that. Like, I mean, you're going up against a team that has lots of firepower in the wide receiver room. But for us, I mean, again, there is some silver lining here. To me, I think the offense went out there, did their thing. Like, Andy Dalton is night and day compared to when Bryce Young was out here, right? You get Deontay Johnson involved, who's basically your wide receiver one at this point, but there's also rumors that he could be getting part of a trade. Kansas City, losing Rashee Rice. Now, we don't know to the extent of Rice's injury yet. At least I'm not sure of as of right now. But there is rumors in that. Thielen's also in those rumors. But right now in this game, Johnson just came out swinging, no pun intended there, with, and they only had like 3 drops in the first half, which needs to get better. But offensively, the run game's working. This offense finally has a pulse. Dave Canales is working wonders with an Andy Dalton. Chuba Hubbard, to me right now, I even posted this up. Chuba Hubbard looks like a top 5 running back. He can beat you in tough yardage. He is explosive out of the backfield, and he also is dangerous out of the backfield. So right now he actually is, through PFF, is number 5 on their list as running backs right now. I know there's a lot of big names out there that are out right now that he's above, but the production he's producing back-to-back weeks with over 100 yards says for itself. The problem is for the Carolina is that we need some new linebackers. Shaq Thompson goes down. He's out for the year. He was just coming off a fibula injury last year. Now he tears his Achilles. Then you got Josie Jewell, who you brought in from the Denver Broncos. He's got a groin injury and a hamstring injury. So right now the linebacker core is paper thin. And so now you bring it in. You have to use Trevin Wallace, the rookie out of Kentucky. They drafted in the 3rd round. You're bringing in Claudin Churlis, a guy who's in his 2nd year, who's really been a practice squad guy. So really, we got to grab some new bodies off the street. Yeah, they went and got Caleb Farley, but that guy's been hurt most of his career. The potential's there, but you also have Dane Jackson coming back. So, I think that the secondary is not going to be an issue. Really, it's really the pass rush and the defensive line that's really hurting in that linebacker room. So this run defense got exposed in this game. It's like I said, the offense has the pulse. The run game is moving, but it's all for nothing without a defense.
Yeah, and I don't know how to, but do y'all not have a 1st-round pick this year? No, you do, right? No, you're at number 7. I don't know how.
We have a 1st-round pick.
I don't know how you guys are.
Yeah, we do.
1.
We got our 2nd round back actually from the Rams trade that we made this past draft.
Oh man.
Yeah, we fleeced the Rams. Somehow we actually did something correct in the draft.
I'm surprised though. Look, I'm actually really surprised that the Panthers aren't number 1, if not at least top 3. Y'all aren't even top 5 right now. If the draft started today, this is what the top 10 would be. It would be the Jags with the 1st overall pick, the Dolphins at 2nd, Patriots at 3, Bengals at 4, Browns at 5, Titans at 6, Panthers at 7, Rams at 8, Cardinals at 9, and Giants at 10. Just goes to show about how seeding and win probability really affects the overall seeding by the ends of things. So how about that?
I mean, even if
high pick, Clay.
I don't want the number 1 overall pick, honestly. What I want them to do is I want them to take whatever they get. It's going to be a top 10, top 5 pick either way. Take that pick, get more draft value out of it, move back in the draft, get 2 1st-round picks, build that defense back up because the offensive line solidified. You've got the wide receivers. You just got to re-sign Deontay Johnson. You got Chuba Hubbard. You're going to have Brooks. You're going to have a two-headed monster in that room. You got Jadeveon Sanders, who's got all the potential in the world in that tight end room. I believe in Tommy Trimble as well. You have all the offensive pieces. You just need a quarterback. But I'd rather bridge a guy out this year, coming into next year, go get Arch Manning or Nico out of Tennessee.
Already given up on Bryce Young. Era's over. How about that?
Yeah, it's done. It's done.
Man, I'm sorry, buddy. That's a
So no more Happy Meals at McDonald's for y'all.
Yeah, man. Bojangles sponsored us. That he's probably going to be working the drive-through now at this point.
Or he's going to go to the Miami Dolphins and be one of the best quarterbacks in football.
Yeah, and honestly, TJ, I wouldn't be surprised if that happened. I would not be surprised if that happened. And honestly, and that's the thing. I think this Bryce Young thing's going to turn into a Josh Rosen 2.0 situation all over again. Except maybe Bryce, but there is the potential Bryce actually, being able to do something depending where he goes.
Ooh, Smitty, let's go on over to you. Why don't you let us know what you thought about this Panthers game?
Oh, they just ran into a buzzsaw, man. Desperate for a win. The Bengals looked nothing like they did the last 2 years. They got on to slow starts, but an 0-3 start, man, they couldn't afford to lose this game. If they did, no playoffs, and we could be talking about losing key players. Jamar Chase showed up 28 yards a catch, 85 yards. You look at Burrow, 200 yards, and they put their best foot forward. And Chase Brown, just like you talk about Chuba Hubbard, they showed you why Joe Mixon was expendable by Chase Brown with the Bengals. And they just had to show up this game. And the Panthers, they just couldn't keep up. They fell behind, couldn't keep up. And, hey, it happens. But, the Bengals were just a desperate team, and they were desperate for a win, and it showed.
James, what did you think about the game?
Yeah, first for the defensive side of things for the Panthers, again, losing your second best player on your defense now with Shaq Thompson is not a good situation, especially after you lost Derek Brown. One thing that I actually just saw that's really interesting to me, the Carolina Panthers have only scored 2 less points this year than the Atlanta Falcons, which is wild to me. This looks like a completely different football team the past couple of weeks. I know that Clay said that Deontay Johnson might be on the trade block. I hope not, because him and Andy Dalton are freaking cooking right now, and I have Deontay Johnson on my fantasy football team. So I don't want to see that happen. Deontay Johnson looks like a different wide receiver out there right now. He looks like a very legitimate number 1 weapon. Chuba Hubbard, to Clay's point, looks like a fantastic running back out there right now. And yes, Jonathan Brooks is still hurt, but even whenever he comes back, I mean, you have to give Chuba Hubbard, the lion's share of the carries here going forward. Again, this offense just looks so different under Andy Dalton. It makes you think wow, is Bryce Young even ever going to play in the NFL again? Because he looked, this offense specifically looks night and day between whenever Bryce Young was out there and whenever Andy Dalton is out there. Guys are getting going on offense between Dalton, Hubbard, and Johnson. Even Xavier Leggett got going here in the passing game a little bit. He had a touchdown in this game and 6 catches for 66 yards. The biggest thing for the Panthers right now is their defense. And look, the Cincinnati Bengals do have a good offense. Whenever you do have Burrow, Chase, and Higgins, and even, to Smitty's point, Chase Brown going out there and scoring a couple of touchdowns. But right now, the biggest thing for the Panthers is just, can they get over all of these injuries that they are dealing with on the defensive side of the ball? Because the offense, I think they're there. I think that they can, they're a competent, competitive offense right now. You have to focus on the defense and just making the most of what you have right now. And unfortunately, they're just decimated by injuries.
TJ, what do you think about this?
I think that Smitty, he touched on it. This was a desperate football team in Cincinnati. I mean, Cincinnati hasn't won a game all season. Going into the game versus Carolina, they needed to win in a major way. They still got some question marks, man. You got guys that are upset that they're playing on a franchise tag like T. Higgins, won a big-time contract if you're Jamar Chase. And Joe Burrow, man, I like him a lot. Shouts out to all my LSU fans out there, but he hasn't looked the part, man. He hasn't looked like the Joe Burrow in the past. I don't know if he's dealing with injuries and he's trying to get himself back, but they needed this victory. They needed, they needed this in order for them to kind of gain some confidence. The best thing about the Carolina Panthers and all of this is I think that once they set down Bryce Young, I think fans start to realize the possibilities that this team can be something under Dave Canales. And I think that actually allowed the Carolina Panther faithful to kind of be patient a little bit, to understand that, we can probably do something. You got some offensive weapons. Xavier Legette scored his first touchdown in the game. That was exciting. Deontay Johnson, he played really well. So there's a lot of optimism. So I just think that, now fans can understand that they can possibly build something in Carolina, and maybe, they can go back to being a franchise that doesn't have, open table type of thing going, where you can just sit wherever you want at the stadium. Like, hey man, hey, where's my seat? If I'm in section 213 now, man, sit anywhere you want. You know what I'm saying? Like that. So hopefully they can get back to being, competitive. I think they can, man. And I see them putting up points with Andy Dalton. I think that's something that fans need to see. At least it gives them some level of excitement to know that they can actually be in games.
Yeah. Okay. Make sure you guys let us know from home who you think played the best out of each of these teams here in week 4 from the NFC South. And let us know about your thoughts from each of these matchups, because we want to know what you guys think, not just, of course, what these creators think. But Smitty, the time has come. It is your time to reign champion here in week 4 over the Saints. I mean, you and TJ, y'all been going back and forth. Y'all went back and forth when we previewed week 4 just last week. So this is your time. Talk to me about the Falcons. Tell me how you guys were able to be victorious in this game.
Man, we had battles all week. We actually had a show together, NFC South Showdown show. And shout out to the Saints fan, man. Y'all kept it cool, kept it cordial. But the Falcons, man, they figured it out just a little bit, man. But I think Tyler Algier was the key to this game. Yes, he only had 8 carries, but he had key carries throughout the game for first downs. He wore down the defense, as I said, that they had to do. They put the pressure on Derek Carr. Yes, they only got 1 sack, but they forced some turnovers is what they need to do. Kirk Cousins has to build up that red zone presence. If he does that, this team will be unstoppable. He has to learn to use Kyle Pitts. Kyle Pitts has to be involved. We've been saying that all year. Drake London had some key catches, but the defense came alive the second half. Yeah, I know Taysom Hill was killing us with that quarterback run, but at the same time, the defense stayed the course. They kept fighting, and they eventually made the key plays for the Falcons to pull out this victory in the end. But the coaching staff just got to get it right, man. Zach Robinson, Kirk Cousins, red zone. We got to put up more points. Field goals are not going to win these games all the time. But they did score 2, like TJ said, a gimme with the first turnover. Truth be told, man, it was just a knockdown, drag-out fight, 26-24. I think the next game is going to be even tougher in New Orleans. But, we pulled out a win, and hopefully that gives us a little bit momentum going into Tampa Bay Thursday night.
Ooh, okay. Let's go on up over to you, James. What did you think about how the Falcons performed here in week 4?
Yeah, I mean, it felt like they were due to have a moment like that. We've talked about it in the past where it's like the Falcons had in the past choked away opportunities like this, right? Where they get handed opportunities to win a football game and they aren't able to capitalize, or they do for a moment and then they lose the opportunity themselves. Shout out to Young Hui Koo for making the kick. It was his longest field goal of his career. So I mean, it was a good gritty win for the Falcons, but I agree with Smitty. Look, this offense has some stuff that they do need to work on. And yes, the Saints have one of the best defenses in football. I mean, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. They do. But you do want to see more from that offense going forward, especially an offense that has so much investment in it, right? With Kirk Cousins, with Drake London, with the running backs of Bijan Robinson and Tyler Algier, with Kyle Pitts, who I feel like has not been getting a ton of work for the Falcons throughout the early portion of this season. So Defensively, I feel like the Falcons have a good unit. This felt like such a defensive showdown to me in terms of the Falcons defense being really good, the Saints defense being really good. But I feel like offensively, the Falcons find themselves in a very similar situation like where the Saints find themselves in right now, where they just don't feel like effective enough, and they need to get more out of their playmakers, specifically guys like even Kyle Pitts a little bit. Their running game feels like it's pretty good, but Cousins has been pretty suspect so far throughout the first month of the season, and even their pass catchers in terms of their receiving room, just I feel like haven't been doing enough, especially considering all the early season hype that they'd been getting going into this regular season. But regardless of that, this is still a good win for the Falcons. It was a much needed win where they beat a pretty game Saints team, especially their defense. And it's never easy to win division rival games. And now they're going to be facing the Bucs here, which we'll talk about that at a later time. But overall, there are a lot of things to improve on, especially offensively, but still a good gritty win for the Falcons.
And TJ, I know you talked about this a little bit when we kind of touched upon here with the Saints, but any kind of last thoughts about this matchup or any last thoughts about how the Falcons performed?
Yeah, I think that, and I'm not just saying this for sour grapes. I think that they need a little bit more from guys like Drake London. I think they need a little bit more from some of their wide receivers. Now, I hope what I'm thinking won't happen, but there is a wide receiver out there by the name of Devontae Adams, and I've heard that 2 NFC teams are looking at him. And from what I heard behind the scenes, the Falcons are one of them. So I hope that that's not the case, but they need a little bit more help when it comes to the wide receiver position. I just think that they need to come up big and be able to help out Kirk Cousins at times. I think that a lot of what is going on with Atlanta, they're lucky to have a quarterback like Kirk Cousins, because he is kind of cerebral. He's smart enough to know that he has a matchup on, like the matchup between Debo and Moody. It seems like he felt he can win that matchup every single time, or something. It's rather Moody is going to come up with a great catch or it's going to be pass interference. He's able to kind of manipulate some things around to move the football. But he still isn't where he needs to be as far as, his mobility, being able to move around. I ain't saying he, Mike Vick or anything, but, you can tell he's still trying to get back to himself. I think defensively, I think they're really good. I think they're talented. I think they have 2 smart safeties. These guys been around the block a few times. They have above average, good borderline elite cornerback in AJ Terrell. So, I think that it's good that you're actually winning games and have a chance to figure it out. It'll be the worst if you were trying to figure these things out and losing at the same time. The ball has bounced their way in 2 of their victories. And sometimes in the NFL, you need a little bit of the ball to bounce your way, and that has happened for them. So if you can actually continue to win games and try to figure it out, I think that they can contend and be there in the end.
Yeah,
well, guys,
I agree with that, man. I think Darnell Mooney is the number 1 receiver. He's played like it all season. So no disrespect to Drake London, but Darnell Mooney has been that guy all season.
Yeah. But they're looking at Devontae Adams, man. That's one. They're the one in NFC teams. I've heard that from a very reliable person, that we watch every single day. I asked them, did they want to give their name? They said no. So it's between. I don't know the other NFC team, but I know the Falcons are one of the teams that's looking at Devontae Adams.
And, Smitty's the one who
with Kyle Pitts, especially with Kyle Pitts not producing. I could see it.
Yeah.
At this point, y'all might need to even kind of move on there from Kyle Pitts.
I've been saying that since last year, Kobe. Trust me.
Trade value, you know what I'm saying? Because the longer you wait, the value is just going to keep going down and down and down. I think y'all need a tight end that's going to fit your system a little bit more, and that guy just doesn't seem to be Kyle Pitts at this point. But let me tell you, as long as Devontae Adams doesn't go to the Jets, I don't really care where he goes. We know he's not going to the Chiefs. We all know he's not going to the Chiefs. The Raiders aren't going to trade him to a rival, right?
No,
they're not going to trade him for a division rival. Just don't trade him to the Jets. Smitty, honestly, I'm sure nobody else here hopes this happens.
Yeah.
But I hope he goes to the NFC just so he does not go to the Jets for that specific and only that specific reason alone. But we do have a couple last super chats to get into before we log off for today. Jamie coming in with a $5 donation says, we whooped some ass this week. Falcons, you are on the clock. Go Bucks. Ooh, this is going to be a good matchup. I can't wait till we preview this game. We actually are previewing week 5 after we log off here today. And in a few days, we'll be dropping that video here on YouTube for you guys to be able to check out. But woo, I can't wait to see what James and Smitty, man. I can't wait to see what y'all got to say. But we got Corey coming in here with a $5 donation saying joined late. Shout out to Tim going through real life stuff and still making the show. As always, go Bucks. So, TJ, at the end of the day, I think everybody's kind of coming together. You get some hate. You see that it's football at the end of the day, though. And
we family at the end of the day.
Exactly. Yeah. You're getting love from Falcons. You're getting love from Bucks. You're getting love from Panthers, man. And that's what football is all about at the end of the day. But
I appreciate that, man. I mean, like I said, my sister was a diehard Saints fan, season ticket holder. I mean, I can remember like the first game of the season. That's the last time we were together. It was the Saints versus the Carolina Panthers, and she was so excited because she didn't want to miss the classic "Who Dat" chant that's before every Saints home game. And she was a diehard, and I knew that she would want me to be here talking Saints football. So, Lila, rest in peace. So I'm here for her because I know that this is where she'll want me to be. But thank y'all, man. Appreciate all the love and support, man.
No doubt.
For sure, man. Sending a bunch of love, of course. Prayers up. But guys, that is going to end it. That is going to end it for today's stream here for the Week 4 recap. We will see you guys live next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern. In fact, you guys will see us in just a few days when we again but rather preview Week 5. Make sure you guys go ahead and remember to check out BetUS. When you guys sign up and use the code YouTube150, that is YouTube150, you can get an exclusive limited time offer of a 150% sign-up bonus on your first deposit, followed by 125% sign-up bonus on your next 2 deposits, all the way up to $2,000. Make sure you guys also check out Shinesty and use the code RTS10 for 10% off your order. Link to that also in the description box below. Make sure to leave a big like on this video. It helps us out tremendously. Subscribe here to the NFC South Roundtable for all of your NFC South news so that you guys get notified every single time we go live or every single time we post a video. And of course, make sure you follow each of these creators on their individual channels linked in the description box below. Like I always say, keep your friends close, but keep your enemies closer. We appreciate you guys so much for watching, and we will see you next week.